Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another week of Fallout 4 mods. This week we have a whole lot of weapon mods, so sit back and relax if that's something you enjoy, because we've got a lot to get through. The weapons this week are going to differ greatly from one another. We've got some classic retro guns, some new modern stuff, and some very, very Fallout-y designs. So, if you're a fan of that, I hope you guys will enjoy this one. Let's go ahead and get started with our first mod this week, which is the Type 11 LMG by CADAVVER. This mod is going to add the Japanese light machine gun into the game, complete with a beautiful set of custom models and textures ported over from Call of Duty, and some beautiful animations created by CADAVVER. This mod does have support for a handful of mods, including tactical, reload, and see-through scopes, which are built into the mod, and there's even some bonus files you can download for things like the side aim framework. Now, the base version of this mod is going to require tactical reload, so if you don't want that, there is an optional file that will remove that requirement. This weapon offers a very interesting system of reloading the weapon, whereas it has a sort of box or chamber area, I'm not sure what the exact term would be for this thing, that holds several clips of ammunition. A partial reload will have you reload a few of those clips, whereas the full reload will have you put in an entirely new box. And thanks to Tactical Reload, all of those reload styles are present in this mod and will be showcased here in a little bit. There's also a ton of customization for this weapon over at the weapons workbench, including a bunch of different barrels and stocks and even some scopes that will not only change the way the weapon functions, but even how it looks. Now, when it comes to acquiring this weapon, there are a handful of ways to get this thing. First of all, you can craft it over at the chemistry station, or you can pick it up at a gun vendor, or even potentially acquire it as a quest reward, or even find it on a legendary enemy after level 25. Or alternatively, there is actually a one-of-a-kind version that can be found over at the O'Neill Family Manufacturing, which is located somewhere in the Glowing Sea. Altogether, this makes for a very, very unique LMG for Fallout. There's not a ton of LMG mods out there as it is, but this one is definitely one of a kind. There's not going to be many LMGs quite like this one, so if you want something retro with a whole lot of character, this is one I definitely recommend trying out. Now, before we move on to the next mod, let's go ahead and check out the custom animations and sounds for the Type 11. Now, the next mod we have is actually another retro LMG, and that is the Lewis gun by the Fallout London team. This is the only mod this week that actually does have a full breakdown on the channel, so if you want to check that out, it will be linked down in the description. But if you want a quick little overview, this is going to add the classic Lewis gun LMG, although redesigned with some artistic liberties that make it feel a bit more Fallout. It doesn't have the traditional grip style. Instead, there is a new full stock made entirely out of wood that honestly I actually really like. It looks really, really cool. This thing does come complete with custom animations and even multiple animation sets. One when you use this weapon regularly, using the stock as you should, and one which involves a top-mounted carry handle that allows for an interesting grip style for this weapon. Now, when it comes to these custom animations, a very important part of this is that it does feature the rotating top-mounted pan magazine that is so iconic for the Lewis gun, so at the very least, we do have that built into this mod. There are also a handful of customization options at the weapons workbench, though most of them are more functional than visual, offering different ways to fire projectiles. For example, there are some incendiary modifications, and even some modifications that turn this into a laser or plasma-based weapon. If you want to get your hands on this weapon, you will need to go and find the one-of-a-kind version over at Fort Strong. Once you have found this version, it will actually unlock a recipe for you to be able to craft it at the chemistry bench, but you can't craft it until you find the first one. Additionally, after that, this weapon will start spawning in the legendary loot pool after level 25, much like the Type 11. This is an awesome, iconic weapon that people have been asking for a very, very long time, and while it may not be the most accurate representation of the classic weapon, it's still a very good mod, and one I'd highly recommend picking up. Now let's go ahead and check out the custom animations and sounds before we move on to the next one. Now, the next mod we are checking out is the European Assault Rifle, also known as the FNFNC by Pig and Another Millennia. This mod is going to add a brand new lore-friendly rifle into the game, complete with a beautiful custom model and set of textures, as well as some custom animations. Now, the assets for this mod are mostly coming from Millennia and a few from the Another Millennia team, but there are also a few additions added by people like myself and Jay Cruz. The animations included in this mod are going to be the right-handed Nuka World AK animations from Hitman, though these are standalone for this mod, so you won't need to have to download those. They come built into this one, which is really cool. This mod offers pretty much everything you would want in terms of customization. There's a whole lot of barrels, stocks, and optics to help you flesh out this weapon and use it pretty much however you could use any other assault rifle. And there's even a few visual changes as well, including different wood options and polymer options. And if you want to get this thing, it is added to the level list and will start spawning after level 10 all around the wasteland on Gunners, Brotherhood of Steel members, and Raiders. There's not too much going on beyond that. It's a pretty standard weapon mod, but it comes with the perfect amount of customization, a nice lore-friendly aesthetic, and overall it's just a really clean-looking weapon that looks perfect for Fallout, so I'm a big fan of this one. If you're looking for a cool retro rifle based on a real-world weapon, this one's a really cool one and a great option. And I'll go ahead and show off those custom animations now so you can see how they look on this weapon, and I have to say, they are top-notch. The next weapon mod we're checking out is another lore-friendly addition to the game, and that is the Uradium Rifle by Micalov. That's right, we have another kit bash release by Micalov, this time adding a new option for the Children of Adam. This is a new gamma-based weapon very similar to the base game Radium Rifle, and that's because you can download this weapon mod one of two ways, either as a replacer for the Radium Rifle or as a standalone weapon. My personal preference is as standalone weapons, so that we have even more variety for the faction, but if you're trying to get rid of the base game weapon, this is definitely a really cool alternative. This is going to make use of the base mesh from Micalov's combat rifle replacer and add a ton of new modifications for it, turning it into a gamma base weapon. Much like the Radium Rifle in the base game, it's going to use lead ammunition, though it's going to spew out some serious radiation damage on top of that. This weapon does make use of the vanilla Nuka World AK animations, and as far as I know right now, there is no right-handed version of it, so hopefully we'll see that sometime soon, because if you're using the animation set, things are going to get a little bit wonky with the bolt. Now, if you download the replacer version, it's going to work pretty self-explanatory. It's going to replace all of the Radium Rifles, but if you download it as a standalone, it is going to spawn alongside the Radium Rifle spawns, so pretty much anywhere you would find one, you've got a 50-50 shot of it being either this or the base game Radium Rifle. This weapon does come with a handful of modifications, including a ton of different scopes, muzzle devices, and stocks, and makes for an awesome new weapon for the Children of Adam faction. Now, the next mob we're checking out is going to be a very polarizing one, and that is Pig's Classic Combat Shotgun, otherwise known as the Combat Shotgun Mark I by Pig. This is going to be a perfect recreation of Fallout 3's Combat Shotgun, and for those of you who aren't aware, it's pretty much the same thing as the Fallout 4 Combat Shotgun, except it just wouldn't work, like, at all in real life. It's quite an abomination. The magazine is seated very far forward on the weapon, and the ejection port is all the way at the rear, and I just can't imagine any sort of internal system that would allow the weapon to work like that. But it is kind of cool. So if you are a fan of the classic design, now we have a version of it for Fallout 4, and it looks fantastic. This is again also going to use some assets from Millennia and the Another Millennia team to recreate this weapon from its classic design. It's also going to feature custom animations by Brainstorm Epilogue for the new grip style and the front-seated magazine. And there's even some custom animations for not only the drum mag featured in Fallout 3, but also the smaller magazines from Fallout 4, which I think is a nice little hybrid design. We also have some adaptations of other Fallout 4 parts, like the different recoil stocks that make this thing very interesting looking, and there's even some of my stocks in there from the attachment pack as well, so if you download this, you'll get some attachment pack parts early, which is kind of cool. This weapon is featured in the game as a standalone weapon, so it does not replace the combat shotgun, though I'm sure there will be some mods out there that will do just that. And if you want to find it, it will be spawning after level 5, pretty much anywhere you would find a vanilla combat shotgun. There's even a unique version of this weapon that can be found over at the 4-leaf fish packing plant. Altogether, this makes for a beautiful recreation of the Fallout 3 design, along with some new parts that make it even more interesting in Fallout 4. So I have to say, good job, Pig, even if this weapon is sort of an abomination. We'll go ahead and show off the custom animations and then move on to the next mod. Up next, we have another classic firearm added to Fallout 4's modding scene, and that is the M14, a retro battle rifle by TargetedFox. This is going to add a very customizable M14 into the game, complete with custom animations, custom models, and a ton of attachments over at the weapons workbench. This weapon is added to the leveled list and will start spawning out in the world after level 15, and you can purchase it from vendors or find it on various factions like the Railroad, Brotherhood of Steel, Minutemen, Gunners, and it is even available as part of the legendary loot pool. Now, something about this mod that is a bit interesting is that it does use the Mark 14 animations for it, which feature a pistol grip that this weapon does not have. So, in first person, it's not even noticeable. The animations work perfectly. In third person, you're not really going to notice it while playing, but if you are taking screenshots, you may see that the hand is a little bit misplaced. Now, to address that, the authors did add a pistol grip to it as an optional add-on at the weapons workbench, but in my opinion, you don't really need it. It's not that noticeable. On top of that attachment, there's also a ton of options at the weapons workbench, including different stocks and muzzles, as well as barrels and scopes, and even some different magazines and rechambers. And on top of that, there's a handful of skins for this weapon as well, including different faction skins like the Brotherhood of Steel, Minutemen, and Gunners. And there's even a really cool Raider skin that I like a lot. Altogether, this makes for a pretty cool M14 mod with a ton of customization options. There are a few M14s out there of different degrees of quality and as well different levels of tacticalness. So it's really up to you which one you like the most, but this is definitely a possible contender. So if you want to check it out, go ahead and try it using the link down in the description. Same goes for all of the mods in this video. Before we move on to the last mod this week, let's go ahead and show off those custom animations for the M14. And finally, that is going to take us to the last mod this week, which is the Modern Warfare 2022 FJX-Imperium by Winter. Or as some of you may know this is the intervention from Modern Warfare 2, or the SHATAC intervention, the real-life weapon. This is a very, very iconic sniper rifle that I'm sure all of you have seen at some point. It's a really unique design, and it's an awesome one to see being ported over to Fallout 4, complete with the wonderful models and textures from Call of Duty, as well as the beautiful custom animations and sound design. Now, this mod does come with a ton of optional files, including the addition of leveled lists, which are not featured in the base mod, as well as an option to add tactical reload support. On top of that, there is even a download for the classic firing sound from the old Modern Warfare 2, if you want that really nostalgic firing sound. Now, in the base version of this mod, this thing is obtainable by crafting it over at the chemistry station, but if you install the leveled list patch, this will start spawning out in the world after level 20, and you can even buy it from traders. One thing that's very important to note with this mod is that it does use its own proprietary ammunition, which is the .408 SHATAC round. So if you want to start using this thing, you are going to need to get your hand on that ammo type, and this thing does pack quite a punch. So honestly, having its own unique ammo is kind of nice, because if it used any of the base game ammos, this thing might be a little bit overpowered. But this is definitely a wonderful new option for you modern tactical weapon fans, and it adds a new heavy-hitting sniper, which there aren't too many of out there. So if you want to try this mod out, much like all the other weapons in this video, I'd highly recommend it. It's a whole lot of fun to use. And just like the rest of them, we'll go ahead and show off the custom animations as well as custom sounds, starting with the base version of the mod and then following that up with the 2009 sounds, because those are quite funny. So yeah, guys, those are some of the really cool and interesting mods we've had this week. A lot of weapons, I know. We'll try to get some more variety next week, but sometimes it's fun to do these. It is definitely one of my favorite mod categories. With that, as always, there will be links down in the description below for every single mod, as well as Xbox links if there are any available. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to drop a rating. It really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing if you haven't already for more videos just like this. As always, a very special thank you to all of my patrons for supporting every single video, and a very special thank you to Backbone, Damien, Danny, Freedom, Glasma, Indecisive Wolf, Logan, Rigmaiden, Microhan, Moonlit Gamer, Oscar, Scott, Sterling, Timmy76, Youth RC, and Voider for joining that Tier 3 Patreon membership. If you'd like to support the channel over on Patreon, you can do so using the link down in the description, but it is completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!